every assignment God has given me. I try the best of my ability to do my assignments. He said, no, he said, you Babs, you pick and choose what you want to, I said, oh, no. I said, I do what God ordered me to do. And he said, well, we take exactly, and we do everything Jesus commanded us. I said, well, I'm glad to know that. Because I said, my brother, I've got a need, very deep need. And I did. I wasn't lying. I had the need at the moment. And I said, we had our Bibles there. And so I turned over there. I said, turn over there. And he had a red letter edition. I said, notice, my brother, this is written in red. So, I guess maybe for your sake, that means a little more. Although it doesn't mean anything else. If it's written in yellow, it don't make any difference of what God said. But I hadn't turned to Matthew chapter 5. And I read in verse 42. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow thee, turn thou not away. And I said, brother, I got a terrible, awful need. I said, you don't have the resources to cover it, but right now I need everything in your wallet. Desperately, it will help me. Now, I said, are you going to follow? Are you going to do what Jesus, that's what Jesus said do. And I didn't think he was going to give me nothing. I had my next cannon. I was going to blow him right out of the water. Going to try to show him something about the kingdom, something about the church age. But to my surprise, Pastor, he took his wallet out and took out about $70 or $80 and handed it to me. It totally disarmed me. I didn't know what to say. I mean, this ain't what's supposed to happen. But I was on a roll, so I thought I'd just continue on with it. I said, brother, that's going to help out a little bit. And I folded it, put it in my pocket, and said, now give me the keys to your car. He said, now wait a minute, the car don't belong to me. I said, I didn't ask for the title. I said, you keep that in the payment book. I want to borrow it. The Bible said, from him that would borrow me. I said, I just want to borrow it for 3 or 4 years. I'll bring it back with a full tank of gas. Just give me the keys. I said, are you going to do what God said do? Or are you not going to do what God said do? And I said, I gave back his money and everything, but I said, listen, I said, these right here, the Beatitudes, that's the constitution for the kingdom. I said, brother, I said, you look me right in my eye, and I said, go over there in verse 22. It said, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Reka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. I said, brother, look me in my eye and tell me that you believe that has any bearing in the church age. If it does, you're a fool. You are a fool. I said, listen, I said, that is right. That's when the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords is sitting on this earth, right over there physically on a throne. And I said, during that time, listen, right now in the church age, I am paid to call people fools. That's my job. As a commissioned, God-called preacher of the gospel, I go around the country and I call people fools for a living. You don't believe God, you're a fool. You don't believe the Bible, you're a fool. You don't think there's a hell, you're a fool. You don't do what God told you to do, you're a fool. And that's the best thing I can say about you. And I'm not worried about hellfire. I'm just telling you, you're a fool if you think God would be worried about hellfire. You're a fool, 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 fool. Everybody's a fool. Your mother's a fool. Your grandma's a fool. Your grandpa's a fool. You're all fools, a whole bunch of fools. That's all it is. And I'm not going to hell. I ain't worried about it. I said, but now during the millennium, I ain't going to be running around sticking my finger in nobody's face calling nobody a fool. That ain't my job. Now, I might be on one of them councils. And some of this crowd going to get called up in front of, and I will have a field day. I hope the guy that was behind me today, I hope he comes up before that council. That guy, he frosted my flakes right to the bottom of the bowl, I'm telling you. I mean, I got upset at him. He blinked his lights, he blared his horn. But I felt sorry for him. He waved at me, had a deformed hand, only had one finger on that hand, so I really felt sorry for the poor guy. But idiots like that, he's a fool. Everybody else that runs with him is a fool too, I guess. But folks get so many things tangled up. I told this fellow, I said, over there, it tells you there, I think it's in verse 39, he says, but resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn him to the other. I said, brother, don't be smiting me on any cheek, or I'm going to have to beat the devil out of you, because I don't live there. I live in Romans 12:18. If it be possible, as much as life in you is, live peaceable with all men. And I will do my best to live peaceable with all men, unless somebody makes that impossible, then one of us is going to get hurt. Now in the millennium, we're talking about a different situation. But folks get those things married up. And listen, and the problem is, see, in the rapture, the Bible says he's coming back for somebody. In the Revelation, it says he's coming back with somebody. In the rapture, he's coming back for his saints. In the Revelation, when he sets foot on the top of the Mount of Olives, he's coming back with his saints. He'll be riding on horses. I hope he gives lessons, because I ain't never rode a horse. And I'll tell you, if you had to get around on horses, I'd never got out of the city limits of Detroit, Michigan. I'm glad. I thank God for progress. I thank God for modern convenience. And I thank God that they're still pumping oil out of the ground. They want to sink one in my daughter's backyard, sink one in her backyard. I don't care. Just give me some gas. I don't want to take no stupid mule somewhere. I mean, what's wrong with folks? You get oatmeal for brains or something. I mean, listen. Some folks, they like getting back to nature. I detest nature. I want nothing to do with nature. My idea of camping is being at the Sheraton. That's the worst camping I want to do. I'm into comfort, creature comforts. But this business of the rapture, the rapture, he's coming back with, for somebody. In the Revelation, he's coming back with somebody. In the Bible says in the rapture, he's coming back in the clouds. In the cloud, he doesn't set foot on the earth, in the clouds. In the Revelation, the Bible said he sets foot on the top of the Mount of Olives. I've been over there on the top of that mountain. I've walked all over that mountain several times, tried to, just imagine where Jesus is going to set foot. But he is going to set foot down, literally, physically. And when he does, the Bible said that mountain's going to cleave asunder. There's going to be a big valley there. The whole topography of that area is going to change, because he's going to physically set foot on this earth. In the rapture, it comes in the clouds. They're two different events. They are not the same. They're different. In the rapture, nobody sees or hears anything except folks that are saved. If you're in this room and Jesus came right now, and you might hear a noise. Like some of the folks in the Gospels, God spoke, they said it thundered. Yeah. They didn't hear anything distinctly, but you'll hear maybe a big clap of thunder, like some kind of 10-ton, megaton atomic bomb went off down there in downtown Detroit. But that's all you're going to hear. You're not going to hear that shout, "Come up hither." You're not going to hear nothing. The only people going to hear anything, see anything, are born again people. Now, when he comes back in the Revelation, sets foot on this earth, the Bible said, every eye shall see him. The reason is, it's two different events. One, we just get caught up in the clouds. Next one, he comes down on the earth, and every eye shall see him in whom they've pierced. I had a fellow, 25 years ago, say, "Now, how is that possible? You say he's coming back over there physically on the Mount of Olives." I said, "Yes, sir." Then, if he comes back, say he comes back 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, "How are folks over in China, how are people over here in the United States going to see that?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe God will project it up on the moon. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. Probably now he might use a few satellites. Problem's not quite as big today as it used to be. But God doesn't need a satellite. He can do it any way he wants to do it. I ain't worried about that." But in the rapture, he comes back in the clouds. In the rapture, in the Revelation, he sets foot on the earth. In the rapture, nobody sees anything except Christians. Every eye will see him in the Revelation. In the rapture, there are no signs. None. Nada. None. Isn't it? In the Revelation, the signs they're listed. They're listed. They tell you what it is. When he's going to come back, set foot on this earth, right at the end there, in the middle of Daniel's 70th week, when all that business takes place in Daniel chapter 9, Jesus is going to come back, straighten his whole mess out. Brother, when he comes back, the signs are listed. It tells you over there in, Matthew chapter 24. In Matthew chapter 24, it says this in verse 3, or verse 1. "And Jesus went out and departed from the temple. His disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left one stone upon the other that shall not be thrown down." And verse 3, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be?" What things? When all them stones of the temple will be torn down. "And what shall be the sign of thy coming?" And then Jesus starts out and he lists them. He lists them all right down through there. You got the deception of the masses talked about there in verse number 5 and verse number 6. You've got the destabilization of the nations talked about in verse 6 and 7. You got the disturbances of nature in verses 7, 8, and 9. You've got the depravity of many down there listed in verses 10 and 11 and 12. And then, of course, then you got that great verse 13, "But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved." And I guarantee you, listen, you could not find the church of the living God in this mess right here. If you had a flashlight and a Greek concordance, the church is not there. Now, if you're here or not, you got some enduring to do, I'll guarantee you. And enduring to the end is the end of that tribulation. Then also notice the distribution of the gospel. Verse 14, "And this gospel of the kingdom." Not the gospel that our brother Huff was preaching about so eloquently, the death, the burial, and the resurrection. It said the gospel of the kingdom. That's the same gospel when Jesus commissioned these guys, sent them out 2 by 2. He told them this. He said, don't you go into any of the cities of the Gentiles. That's folk like me and you. Jesus said, don't do that. Go only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.